Well, to answer the question about administrative costs, we're going to cover some of those areas and really help to clarify some of the different numbers that are floating around in terms of what is administration, who are the administrators, and what are administrative costs. What's commonly published out there is the Auditor General's report, and this report has been provided to allow the public to compare the efficiencies of the school districts. So we can compare Gilbert to Mesa to Chandler, and you'll see that as the Auditor General report on our website. And what we're going to be talking about is just this little pie section in here for administration costs. Now, in the Auditor General's report, that division of functional costs is done by the function code. So the first area, which is commonly called the classroom dollars, how much money is spent in the classroom dollars, we're focusing on the function of 1,000, your 1,000 instruction, and that's where we see about 60% of our costs. The other areas are the student support, instruction support, and the next three levels, general administration, school administration, and central services, those three areas together is what the Auditor General groups together and calls your administration costs. We also have other costs that are operations and maintenance and transportation. So to help us to get a better idea as to what's included in these different areas, we're going to cover some of those positions. First of all, with student support, these are services that provide direct services to students, although those services are not education services. So for example, that would include your social workers, your athletics, your health services. There's also some other student-specific positions like student records. These are all the types of positions that assist students but are not providing education for those students. Another area is the instruction support. Here, these people provide services that help the teachers provide instruction or support the educational program itself. So you would see things like professional development fall under that area, or curriculum, or the coordinators of the different subjects of education fall into that area as well. The final area is administration services. These are services that you would typically find in any business in support of whatever function they provide. So just as we would see in any business, we would have accounting, you have finance, human resources, technology, fixed assets, the warehouse, inventory, and payroll. These are all these examples of areas that are just necessary for the operation of a business. And these are what is called the administration services in the district. So now, when we're comparing these different numbers as to what is the cost of administrators as opposed to administration services, the administration services includes administrators as well as staff that is providing that administration service function. And all of that together comes up to about $18 million with benefits. However, we also note that there is a group of positions that are called administrators, and these are typically your higher paid professionals that have more of a director role in the operation district. And those particular roles cross a lot of different functional areas. So we would have administrators in other areas such as transportation, student support, and instruction support. And the cost of all of those administrators is $2.4 million. That's just for those positions at the district level. At the school level, those administrators would be your principals, your deans, your assistant principals, and that comes up to about $5.1 million. So the cost of all of the people who are labeled as administrators in the district with their salaries and benefits is about $9.9 million, as opposed to the cost of administration services as a whole, which is about $18 million.
Our administrative costs are one of the lowest in the state. And we actually have Gilbert, for this fiscal year ending June 30th, 2012, we spent $496 per student on administration. If you want to compare it to our neighboring school districts, Chandler spent $563 per student. Mesa spent $606 per student. Higley $657 per student. And Scottsdale $679 per student. So at $496, you can see we are very, very low in comparison. Based on the Auditor General's report for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2012, which is the last report we have from the Auditor General, our percentage for classroom expenditures in Gilbert was 60.1%. It is actually very limited. It really is just teachers, instructional aides that work in the classroom, field trips, and classroom supplies.
What we're trying to help people to understand is your home may be a certain value one year, but that also changes over the years. So we take that consideration into account because people really want to know, what am I actually paying? Because my home will actually go up and down over the years. So that's why we chose the median value. And the median value means that number that we see, half of the homes within our boundaries are worth more and half of them are worth less. So that helps us to kind of gauge how that dollar amount is going to affect you over the years if the override passes or doesn't pass. So that's what all of those numbers are in that chart.
The 157, I think, was what it is at the previous year when it was at 10%, and then it went down to $97, which is what it is currently.
Okay.
And then it'll stay at that level. If the override's passed, it'll continue to drop if it doesn't pass. So, and it is the median value. If it was a $100,000 home, then it's actually $74 per home at $100,000.
Yeah, and the rate that you pay will not go up. If your house goes up and the value of all the homes in Gilbert goes up, you'll pay less than the 93.
What are the major objections to an override that you're hearing from the public at large?
The things I've heard is you haven't made your case. We know there's waste. You could run leaner. And then to help us do that, we will be implementing a zero-based budgeting system this year that'll help us tighten our priorities, and it'll cause change. If we do it right, it'll move funds around in the district to where we're trying to hit the priorities that people say we need. Now, it's not going to massively change the district, but it will hopefully tighten and people feel that we're putting the money where it really should. Okay, good. Well, thank you very much for coming and listening to us drone on.